All right. Let me know in the chat if I'm coming through. Oops. All my scenes, all bunch of stuff reset. So just let me know if we're coming through and we'll continue the show. So we'll have to make sure that everyone watches on. I believe Rumble is probably the best. Why can't I move that? Oh, that's so weird. One second. I can't move a window. So if I can't move the window, then I can't see anything. Drop in the chat on Rumble if you can hear me. We're going to go back to the loading screen for a second, so let me know if you see the loading screen. Okay, so I'm being told we're back. I can see some of the chat. For some reason, one of my windows isn't allowing me to move it, so I'll have to mess with that after. I had to hard restart the computer, so I don't know what that was about. So a bunch of windows were all whacked out. So anyway, meat shakes, that sounds gross. We're just going to continue, and we'll have the entire episode. So if you want to rewatch the episode, it's not going to be on audio. We'll just have it for only for Rumble, and I guess if YouTube picks it up. So it is what it is. Meat shakes, gross, gross. I lost my whole flow with this, but I'm still grossed out by it. I just want to move on with the show at this point. Actually, you know what? Let's see. Let's see. Oh, we got a bunch of people watching. All right, so we'll just continue. I was going to restart the show, but let's continue. So we'll move right along and let's get into some questions. All right, we'll move through it then. Lazar Solovich, Papa Solia, what age do you recommend to start gym? It depends on if you're doing it right or not. I don't think the age really matters. You can do it really young, like 9, 8, but light weights, maybe hanging from the bar, doing pull-ups and body weights. So it depends on what you consider gym or just physical activity and physical competency. But in terms of like pushing to failure and heavy strength training, you need to have your joints more developed. It's just safer that way. It doesn't mean you can't learn how to lift when you're 12, 13, but you're not trying to bulk up when you're 12 or 13. Once you get like 13, 14, 15, 16, you can slowly, I would say, progress it. Some people train really hard, but there is a risk of things like joint damage and overuse because you're growing through growth spurts. So your bones are changing, they're growing. And if you do a lot of localized damage and trauma and inflammation, and it can affect, I'm sure, I mean, to what extent and to what studies and to what people are aware of how much it affects. I think it's more rare that it damages the growth plate. It stunts your growth. I don't think it does that unless you have real trauma. But don't forget your bones are growing anyway. So they're changing length. So when you're doing heavy lifting and your bones are getting longer, your form changes or it gets more awkward or might encourage different, if you have bad form, it might encourage different adaptations. But I think doing a lot of exercise like dead hangs and overhead activity is really great for the shoulder joint while it's forming. So it's more mobile throughout life, and just doing a lot of mobility stuff as you're growing, because that's going to be great for your bones and your joints. It's going to really improve your coordination. It's just something that's a great foundation. A great foundation. We're in the question portion. All right, let's move on. Let's see. Mark, have you heard of the app Seed Scout? If so, what are your thoughts? Let me put this on the screen. I have heard of it. I haven't used it. I'm assuming it's an app. My guess would be that it lets you know what restaurants do or do not have seed oils. I'm assuming. I've heard good things. I haven't heard bad things. But for me, I guess, it's good, I guess, if you have people in from out of town, you don't feel like cooking and you want to go somewhere, you should know places in your area that will make the food or has the qualities that you like. And usually those are going to be probably more expensive. There's a place that we like that we go to dinner that we know is going to have, it's not perfect. That's why we just generally cook at home, but we have some place where we would go. And it's good to have a couple of those. Like, hey, if we want to go somewhere, let's go to these places that we've been to before. We know we can handle it, whatever it was. So, or they'll customize your orders or whatever it is. But I think in general, people eat out too much. So what I would also say is don't just use this doesn't have seed oil, so let me eat it. People are going to fixate on people are going to fixate on one thing. They're going to fixate on it's gluten-free. So if it says gluten-free, I can eat it. And they're eating all tons of seed oils and all this other garbage, but it's gluten-free. It's seed oil free. So there's no seed oils in here. And then I'm just eating all this other crap. So again, I'm not trying to be a bummer. It's just true. Just because it doesn't have seed oils doesn't mean that what you're eating is good. There are foods that fuck you up. It might have peppers in it. It might be cooked with something else. It doesn't have seed oils, but it has, I don't know, something else in it. Some spice that fucks you up. It doesn't need to be. It depends on what it is. Just keep that in mind. Just like the gluten stuff. If it's seed oil free, doesn't mean it's automatically something that's a free-for-all. Just because it says it's seed oil free doesn't mean it's, let me eat this all the time. So just be mindful of that. Just be mindful of that. Now, I would say that if some place is actually emphatically seed oil free, they probably do have they're more likely, I would say, if it's, something that they advertise publicly, especially, it's more likely that they'd have other things that maybe it is a good place for you to eat. But again, seed oil free, what are they cooking in? What else were they serving? It could be seed oil free and it could be ice cream or something, no seed oils. It's like, okay, well, are you putting a lot of other kinds of candy? A lot of people don't. And here's the thing. Sugar isn't bad for you. It depends on the context. And most people have way too much sugar and they don't exercise. They don't use the sugar. They don't train heavy. They don't lift weights. They don't do intense cardio training, right? They're just constantly elevated sugar. So sugar's not bad. Your body has to be able to handle it. It's called insulin sensitivity. If your body can shuttle it and utilize it because you're training, you need glucose. And that if you're lifting heavy weights, carbohydrates are not the enemy. But of course, different types of carbohydrates really breaks down to sugar and gets stored as glycogen. And you need to saturate your muscles. You need that for heavy strength training. Some people need less. Some people need more. It really depends. So what are we talking about? Yeah, just make sure you don't get dogmatic. You shouldn't be eating seed oils, but just make sure you're also not prioritizing eating out. Because a lot of people will do that. Well, it's seed oil safe, and they'll just go and eat there. And they don't realize all the other shit that they're eating is not something that they should be. William Flowers, 731, Papa Soy, how do I get rid of my appetite for unhealthy stuff? Kind of what I was already talking about. Don't categorize foods as healthy and unhealthy. I think that's a problem too. Because, and I'm just breaking down the language people use. So, what William thinks as unhealthy is going to be different than what I think. In other words, things that you shouldn't be eating for whatever reason. Unhealthy, that's a vague term, right? So, how do I get rid of my appetite for unhealthy stuff? Well, vegans think meat is unhealthy. Libtard media thinks eggs are bad for you. Well, careful of your cholesterol. So, again, what metric are we talking about unhealthy? We have to really break down these words because what one person deems unhealthy, another person might deem healthy. So what do you mean? How do I maybe William is like, I've been told not to eat meat and this and the other. That's all unhealthy. How do I get rid of my appetite for unhealthy things and saturated fat? It has too much fat in it. I don't know what William knows. Maybe he's trying to get rid of his appetite for things that he should be eating a lot of. Does that make sense? So you always have to classify. And again, for one person, a food might be very unhealthy in the sense that maybe it's a good food for most people. But if you have a severe allergic reaction, maybe red peppers, right? Nightshade, it fucks you up. Maybe a lot of people can eat it and like, I don't notice anything. Well, it fucks you up. So that's unhealthy, quote unquote, for you. In other words, it's on the list of does not go in my face hole or any of my orifices. It doesn't go in your butthole, doesn't go in your face hole. It doesn't go in any of the holes. Okay? So don't put it in your holes. How about that? It doesn't go in your holes. You have a list of things that do not go in your holes. Don't put them in your holes. Don't eat it. No, don't put it in your body. Don't stuff it in. Don't put it in here. Don't put it in there. Any way you can jam it in your body, just don't put it in your body. Get it out of your holes. So that's going to be different for some people. Some people have that alpha gal that ish, from the tick, like weaponized viruses like Lyme disease, but that tick disease that makes people allergic or something to red meat, something absolutely insane. Lone Star tick or something. Fuck that, man. Fuck that. That's one thing I like about Florida. I don't think there's any ticks down here. I haven't seen them. I'm sure there are things like it. Why wouldn't there be? But it's got to be more. It depends on where you live. If you're more kind of in an urbanish environment, you're not going to get that kind of stuff. You'll see some spiders, but really harmless kind of stuff just because it's more, I guess, industrial. But when you go into central Florida, you go into the swamps, there's got to be all sorts of shit. Like central Florida, you get a lot of, in the swamps, who the hell knows? You get these like radioactive. That's where they film horror. That's where they get ideas for horror films. A couple of the boys went out swamping, and there's some Loch Ness fucking dragon in there. But this is my point. Yeah, it's engineered. Yeah. Was it Plum Island, I think? You can fact check me on that. I think it's called Plum Island, where they develop Lyme disease. Anyway, that's a fun rabbit hole. So my point about the unhealthy stuff is it's relative. It's relative. So this is an Instagram story question. I think it's important to really break this kind of stuff down. What do you think is unhealthy? In other words, we always talk about, I'm not going to go through, you shouldn't be eating this. You should be eating grass-fed beef and pasture. We talk about that all the time. So I have to go into all that stuff. But what does this person think is unhealthy? And I will say, drop in the comments, how would you get rid of your appetite? We're calling these are cravings. These are compulsions. These are addictions. Think about this. If I haven't had a steak, It's different. It's different when you eat real food. I don't feel like a craving for steak. I don't. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to eat a steak. No, I get hungry. I'm like, well, I want to feed. And then I eat foods that I want to feed on. Sometimes it's steak, sometimes it's eggs, it's bacon, it's raw dairy. Like I'll feast, I'll eat the foods that I eat. And it does change and fluctuate. I'm not overly strict. I have to eat this at this time, and I always eat this, and I always eat that. I just know how my stomach works. And if I feel hungry and I don't want to sit down and eat a meal, I might have some kefir. Nothing wrong with that. That's my point. That's how I do it. But now when I say crave, I mean, I know, but you're famished, you're hungry, you want to fuel up, right? Swole says, I crave red meat post workout. But craving is different than an addiction. You're hungry for food. You need protein and fat and salt, and you want to feast. It's not like you need another hit and you're like just tweaking out. You just get hungry. And if you needed to, you could fast and handle it because you've done it before. That's why it's important, I think, to do fasting or to practice some fasting, because it is great to understand psychologically what it feels like. I really do think that fasting is good. It's good to know. It's good to know that you can go a day or two without food. I'm not saying just stop eating for 2 days and let me try it. But go go through that phase, that quote intermittent fasting or eating one meal a day. I've done that. I've gone back and forth. So in other words, if something happens and I was trying to conserve rations or whatever, let's say there's a real, some things really take a turn and you're just out and about, you can go, what hunger is, like, oh, I'm hungry, but you know what the process is, and you just chill, go away, and you understand what your body is doing. And like, if you understand what's happening, you're like, oh my God, I have to eat. You know what you're capable of. There's no danger. You're not going to die. I haven't eaten in 3 hours. So I think it's important to have that feeling and to understand, and maybe you love it, maybe you don't. Again, you don't know these things until you try. There's nothing wrong with doing fasting on the regular if that's how you roll and you just love it. You really love it. But you have to be objective. A lot of people will try to force something in. They're obsessed with the concept. It's like vegans. They try to force these frankenfoods, and they try to pretend and gaslight themselves into thinking that this is actually healthy. I'm saving the whole world. Well, you're trashing your health. It's like the real progressive, liberal, everything further away and abstract is really important. All the wars that are thousands of miles away, but I won't go to the fucking gym and get some sun, and I'll pierce every orifice in my body and put bull rings in my nose and dye my hair magenta. Like, they trash their health. They're mentally insane, terminally online, and just completely just broken individuals, but they care so much about things far away. In other words, focus on what's actually objectively healthy for you. And personally, for me, with the way I lift, the intermittent fasting, not eating all day, not having carbs in the morning, I feel so much better when I actually do more carbs in the morning, like fruit in the morning. I've tried that. I've tried just doing a lot more fruit in the morning. I'll still have some coffee and collagen, and maybe I'll have some kefir, maybe I'll have some protein, but just more carbs earlier in the morning. I really like it. I still delay my coffee intake. I just try different things, but I'm also doing less carbohydrates later in the evening and just more like meat and protein and stuff like that. And before my workout with the carbs and things. So again, you need to be objective and try different things. You don't know what it's like, and it makes you more adaptable in the future, just as an individual, as a human, having more experiences and knowing more about your body and how it functions. But if you have to, it's not an appetite. You're having cravings and compulsions. It's like addictions. It's withdrawal symptoms. That's what it is. So in other words, if I don't eat a steak, I'm not getting withdrawal symptoms. I'm just hungry and I want to eat food. And yeah, I prefer steak, but it's not, it's a survival. It's very fundamental. It's not oh, I have to have it. I want that taste in my mouth. Like these hyper palatable synthetic concoctions in food. So it's an actual addiction. And understanding what it is, I would say, is the first step of you have to recognize it for what it is. and you don't buy it. You don't keep it in your house. But this is why we always educate and explain in details, because it's the philosophy and the mindset behind your actions. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to break. You're going to have to deal with willpower. You're going to put yourself in those situations. We all know you can't be in those situations. You have to remove yourself from those situations. You can't put yourself in shitty situations. It's the same thing with a concealed carry or owning a firearm. The classic saying, don't go, if you wouldn't go there without, if you wouldn't go somewhere without a gun, don't go there with a gun. And an example is like, oh, someone is asking you, hey, let's go to this, I don't know, whatever, club. Let's go to the strip downtown. You know, it's super violent there. Like, all right, I'll go, but, I'm going to bring my gun with me. Don't go there. If, oh, that's dangerous, I better bring my firearm. Don't go there with one is the point. In other words, make better choices. Don't put yourself in situations where you're going to be at risk. That's just dumb. Hey, let me go to this really violent area. Why are you going there? Right? Why are you going there? The unfortunate thing is nowadays there are more mentally insane people. So there's a lot more risk at more places. Just because you're at the local library or you're at a daycare center. I mean, people go in, there's lunatics and that's what's really feels scary as a society, when places that should be a kid's playground, you're vulnerable. It's a vulnerability. They're more insane people, and at places that should feel safe, they don't feel as safe anymore. So that's a whole other conversation. But don't go to, but that would be a place where you have protection in case something happens. The unforeseen, it's better to be prepared. But in other words, don't go to the slums and then, walk around with a bright like yellow t-shirt or something that's the same color as a local gang. It's like, don't put yourself in shitty situations, right? Don't actively put yourself in shitty situations. It's just good advice. It's good advice because mobs are just irrational and you can get trampled. There's so many ways you can get trapped just by other people's bad decisions and mob behavior and mob mentality. But anyway, I forget where I was going with all that. Oh, don't put yourself in bad situations. So don't have things in your environment and it's really the people. It's the people you spend time with. If you're going out with people all the time and they're always eating shit and they're always getting you to eat trash and they have terrible habits, those are not the people to spend your time with. And unfortunately, when you're ready to grow, when you're ready to, the caterpillar, you're ready to chrysalis and then morph into a butterfly, when you're ready to move on, a lot of your friends are still going to be eating and chilling and hanging out, and you have to leave it behind. You're not going to grow unless you grow, and you can't grow when you have all that toxic shit around you. You just can't. If you ever like garden, some of you were talking about gardening. I'm out in the garden all the time, trimming and hedging. Like once you realize how many, like trimming and hedging or, cutting branches, like it encourages growth for the plant. If you're not trimming and you have a tree that's growing, if you're not trimming it, it depends on the tree and whatever and your climate, but things grow so fast down here in the summer. It's fucking insane. I have to hack, like I'm cutting shit all the time, but it grows thicker. It stimulates more hormone that will have more branches coming out of like the stumps and the shorter branches that you cut, and then it'll get more full. It just takes time. You have to be patient and just keep trimming the edges, and then the inside just keeps on filling out. And you cut off the dead parts of the plant so it doesn't get like a fungus and infection, and it looks healthier. And you have a plant that looks like half of it's dying. You cut off all the dead parts and wow, it looks brand new. Yeah, trim your bush. So it's the same thing with your community. If you have those things, you have to trim that shit. You have to cut it off, or you're going to stay the same. So you have to figure out what you want. If you want better, then surround yourself with better. And surrounding yourself with better, you need to be your own community of one. So at the minimum, if you want to do better, cut everyone off and focus on yourself and be your own best support. And then you can slowly add if there's positive things around you. You need to minimize and then only allow in. You just need stronger filters. People let everyone in, and then guess what? The narcissistic emotional sucks are going to leech on you. A lot of people are just leeches. They're leeches. They all want things for themselves. It's all about what they want. And they don't even know it, but it's all me, 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 me. They're always giving you their fucking problems, and they're just sucking up a lot of your time, and they don't want to take care of themselves, and they just want to complain. It's like, yo, get the fuck out of, get these people out of your life. I don't care what relation. You got to distance yourself from these people. That's the real cancer. Axel Yared, Papa Swolio. Chest day is best day? I don't know. Do you like chest day, bro? I don't have a chest day. If you have a chest day, I think your programming sucks. Should be at least a push day or an upper day. There is no such thing as chest day. Chest day is dead. Lucas Tommy. Lucas Tom. Papa Solio, how many times do you go to the fucking gym in a week? Probably about 4. Every other day. I'm going to train a little bit too. It's been raining a lot, so I might have to mix up my routine a little bit if it's going to be storming today. It's been raining a lot. All my canopies are like fucked. They're like collapsed. I got to like replace them. It's going to have like a major overhaul. Gym's super wet. It's all right. The dungeon is percolating. It's ready for me. It depends because if there's lightning and stuff, we'll have horns going off like brrr. If there's lightning. I think that's like a 5 mile or like a 1. It's, you know, these sirens go off. Because the thing is, in Florida, it's not just rain, it's thunderstorms. So there's lightning. I can't go outside under metal canopies. Just go out there in the rain in a thunderstorm or a lightning storm, and you have just like 16 metal spires around you. Probably not a good idea. In water, yes. There are better decisions you can make. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I want some more sunshine. I think we're going to get like a day of sunshine this week. It's been super rainy. And the thing is, with the way my canopies are set up, I don't want to replace, because I have replacements. But if there's a lot more rain coming, it's like, and if they rip, I don't want to like put new ones on. The storm continues and then they rip again, and then I have to get another. So they're ripped. There's some tarps on the ground. Machines are getting wet. It's like, fuck it. Next time there's like a sunny spell. But I think this whole week is like, it's like thunderstorms. In Florida, there's thunderstorms every day or rain at some point. So when you look at the weather, it's like 33%. Every day is 30 to like 40% chance of thunderstorms. But it's a chance. And it might be a chance around like 3 o'clock or 2:30 or 4. So it's just like the weather is always the same. It's just like kind of hit or miss every day. Every day in Florida, you'll see like thunderstorms every day, kind of. The rest of it's sunny and bright. All right. Some more questions. We're just chilling. I think today's episode, I might post like, if this continues and doesn't glitch again, I might just post the second half, because really the beginning was just a couple Swole fan posts and talking about the previous day's release. So I'll just probably put a partial show up, because we started this one, I think, from like the gross meat shake. That was gross. Can we talk about that again? I'm in the mood, I guess, to talk about it again. Let's read this again. Okay, let's go back. This will be a good, it's kind of be like a full-length show minus like the initial intro. Frank says, this is an accountability text, so let's get back into it. And Frank says, nutrition is what I'm focusing on this week. What's been working so far is a can of tuna and 2 scoops of my favorite protein. 2 scoops of shut the fuck up, throw it in a blender with 2.5 cups of water, buzz it, down it goes. Cheaper than meat shakes. It keeps me in a calorie deficit to lose those love handles for summer. So my thoughts on this, I like how the last part is cheaper than meat shakes. First off, meat shakes, gross. This is gross. That's a gross thing to say and to do. That's a gross thing. Tuna. Blending it. Water, bro. 2 scoops of your favorite protein. You know what, Frank? Frank, I want to know what kind of protein. Tuna and water is gross. Now you're adding in, is it chocolate? Is it vanilla? Is it strawberry? Like what flavor protein are you going plain so it's tuna flavored? What are you doing, bro? What's going on there? 2.5 cups of water. I'm going to be honest with you, Frank. That's a lot of water, bro. That's a lot of liquid. It sounds like you're Frank, I need to know what flavor protein you're putting in, big guy. Yeah, this is disgusting. This is disgusting behavior. Frank, you're a slut. I think we became best friends. You disgust me so much, I'm enthralled. This is his wife. Okay. Is that right? Chocolate? Oh, Frank. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Smooth. Very, very smooth stuff. Very classy. I'm learning a lot from you right now, dude.
It's chocolate. Chocolate, bro.
I didn't like him anyway. He wasn't right in the hat.
What kind of water is he using, Emma? It's not tap water, is it? Chocolate protein. It's not chocolate protein with milk. It's chocolate protein with water. And tuna, dog. Bro. You and Mike Mentzner are his go-to. Emma, Emma just said tap water.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
The room goes quiet. All right.
But I want my own ass. I want my own ass.
All right, Frank. Frank's cut from a different cloth. That's a different cloth. That's like burlap. You know, that's what they make those old school. Frank's cut like that's like Frank's Frank's cut from that kind of cloth. Frank's cut from the cloth that they extracted after Chernobyl collapsed. They found some cloth in the rubble and they cut Frank out of it. Jesus Christ. His name is F-Rank. F-Rank. Yeah, rank is right. At family functions, his family treat him like Voldemort. He who shall not be named. He who shall not be named. Just got that just like that Dementor hover in the corner. Fucking Vitamix. No. How does he blend it? Oh, here's the thing. If you blend it enough, if you use a Vitamix, that shit's going to be like liquid. Here's my take. Emma, now that we have the inside scoop, he uses a bullet, doesn't he? He uses one of those. You screw on the top, he turns it upside down. He has one of those little push down ones. That's what he does, doesn't he? Emma, you confirm that with me right now. He use one of those NutriBullets? I know he does. He doesn't do top load. F rank uses one of those twist tops and then flips it upside down. Because he knows how to he knows the measurement exactly. If it's too big, he'll splatter. He just wants to blast it and go. He doesn't want to even go low and have it mix and then turn it up. No, because he gets too much foam and all that. No, he's going bullet. It keeps it contained. Blend Tech. So that's like a top load. All right, so I was wrong on that one. Or is there a bullet attachment, and he has a specific attachment for his flow, and the blender top is separate? I think Blend Tech. Okay, that's kind of like Vitamix level, isn't it? But I know there's different attachments, so I'm still holding out for some sort of specific drink it out of this container blender attachment. A step down from Vitamix. I got you. He's got one of those like, hey, this is made for the same. It's a Blend Tech shaker bottle. Like it's designed for that, right? It's like a piece specifically for the Blend Tech, but it's like a flip down one. You say yes? He has that? He has an attachment specifically? I'm telling you, if that's true, just confirm that. Totally does. Totally does. F rank absolutely has, because you can't put that shit in the fucking actual blender. You can't put, if you put that shit in the blend, you can't use that blender. That's your tuna blender from now on. You don't get that smell out. You can't clean that. You can't clean that fucking thing. Now I will say I have a Vitamix, you know, you can, like it'll sterilize and it'll clean. But come on now. You know that if it's some sort of like polycarbonate plastic, it's not glass, that you're not getting that smell out. You know, if it's some sort that will just smell like tuna for an age. If there's a nuclear holocaust, cockroaches and F rank are going to survive. Because he's going to be like blending cockroaches up with like his chocolate protein. And he's going to have chocolate protein that's like been expired for like 40 years. And he's using like filtered groundwater. Emma says, big blender, top down kind. It is. Yeah, it is his now. Yeah. Oh, it's his. Oh, it's his now. Yeah, it's his. It's F Rank's blender. No shit. You blend tuna in that on the daily. That is his blender. That is Mark territory. Oh, I got another question. Oh, fuck me. He says a can of tuna. I need more information. We're going deep on this. Is it chunk light or chunk white? I want to narrow down his psychopathy. Do you have the brand? It's chunk light. If you're blending, you're not even going albacore. There's no way. He's chunk lighting it, isn't he? Son of a bitch. You chunk lighting son of a bitch. I know you're getting that chicken of the sea. The one that's kind of like a dark pink that's just like in water and just like, it's like you're eating wet sawdust. You're eating, what's the stuff called? Mulch. Like shredded mulch. Wet shredded mulch. Just like little chunks. Sometimes little square chunks. Sometimes like the thin ones that get stuck in your teeth. Emma says a can of tuna with water. Oh, I'm aware. But there's different types of tuna. There's like the chunk white albacore. Is it like the 30-cent can or is it like the $1.30 can? You know, or is it like $2.15 a can? It's probably more expensive now. Depends on what it is. Probably $3.30 for sustainably caught. Is it like the chunky white ones or it's like the pink? It's white. Oh, he's an albacore man. Oh, yes. Interesting. All right, here we go.
Wow.
Interesting. Emma says, I don't pay attention because it's nasty. Oh, I don't blame you. Yeah, why would you be in that part of the house? Why? This is like, I don't pay much attention because I'm not in the kitchen when he's blending tuna. When he's blending tuna, I'm usually at work or I'm hiding. $1.30 a can. All right, so he's a fancy. That's interesting. You know? Does he pull the Big Daddy, the Adam Sandler movie, when they're like throwing cans on the ground? Does he like spike them on the ground and get like 50% off because they're dented? Scratch and dent? Does he go for the discount tuna? 4 for $5. Oh, I know F Rank loves a good 4 for $5. He probably comes home with a case of tuna. 4 for $5. Oh, he's all over those specials. When they've been on the shelf for like 9 years. Like, we got to move these finally before these cans disintegrate. I like how F rank has standards, though. He has standards. See, if he went chunk light, I'm like, oh, he's a lot. I would say not a lost cause, but he'd be, wow, it's worse than I thought. But he goes for the albacore. That's a difference between being married and not being married. That's why Emma's with him. Because, you know, women date men out of future value. And he shows promise. He does care for himself. He cares for himself enough to go albacore. It shows the different shades of F rank. It shows those different dimensions. Like, oh, it's a savage. Oh, but he actively made a choice. Albacore, not chunk light. It's like, huh. Interesting. There's more than meets the eye. There's some standards here. There's some self-respect. Not much, but there's some. There's some. I will say that this reminds me of a younger Papa Swole because I've told this story before, and I'll follow this up with, I do respect it. That's so nasty. I respect it because I've done nasty shit too. I'm a filthy fucking swole slut. I'm a filthy swole slut. I'm a horse swole slut. In other words, what you would do. Now, I never did anabolics and stuff. Like the standard thing nowadays, well, you just could have just done a cycle of tests and gotten better results, probably, for sure. But I remember when I was bulking and I was eating bread at the time, like the granola, fake ass brown white bread, you know, I would take 2, and you want to see nasty. So this is why I respect F rank. Okay. I remember working at a coffee shop, and I'll tell this story again because it's that vile. All right. And I'm not telling you guys because I'm proud of it. Actually, I am kind of proud of it. But I'm telling you because, you know, if you think you want gains, I'm going to tell you this like foghorn leghorn. Like, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you, son, sit down. Let me tell you a story. I used to eat every 2 hours. I've told you, if you've listened to the show for a while, you've heard it, but I'm going to tell it again in depth because we don't talk about it often. Because it's one of my deep sources of pride. I was eating every 2 hours. Okay. Every 2 hours. And I was eating every 2 hours. And when I finished eating, I had one of those, I guess like a Timex, standard Timex, whatever it was. G-Shock, or I think it was something like that. I don't know. I wonder if G-Shock came out. This is like 2000. This is 2002. Summer of 2000. Summer of 02. 02. Jesus Christ. I'm one of those people. Yeah, back in 02. When I was at work, when the timer would go off, okay, I finished eating my last bite, 2 hour timer, beep, and it would count down. 2 hours later, I would take out 2 cans of tuna and 4 slices of bread. This was chunk light. Aww. Chunk light tuna. Why? I was broke as shit. I wanted to make gains. And it was cheap. Chunk light tuna, a fork, 4 slices of whole grain bread. You know, maybe I went like Arnold's granola if I was feeling fancy. You know, the bread that's like harder. God, gross. I would take the fork and I would eat the tuna. I would put the fork in the chunk light tuna and just shovel it in my mouth. 2 cans, just that and water. I would just drink water while I was shoving it in my mouth. It was about swallowing it. Then I would take the bread and dip it in water and shove it in my fucking mouth. And it was Operation Swallow. It was just get this in my stomach. I would finish it. I would hit the timer. 2 hours later, I would do it again. So, F rank, I respect the hustle. I've been there. But Jesus fucking Christ. This might be, this whole conversation, this might be what, like, is that what people consider PTSD? I'm not trying to make light of PTSD, but it's a dark humor there. That's what it feels like. I could just taste it like in the back of my throat, just like that dry ass bread in water, like just soaked it up like a wet sponge and just compresses and it just deflates into like this chewy brown mass. And I'm chewing it like cud, like a fucking goat. And I swallow it down like in chunks of clay. Fuck, man. And the crust. Fuck yeah, I went with the crust too. Fuck you. Fuck you, I ate the crust. Hell yeah, dude. And I was lifting big. I was training hard like a fucking savage, copying professional bodybuilder workouts. And guess what? Guess what? I got fucking jacked that summer. I got fucking jacked. I put on so much fucking muscle. I got fucking big. Like 2002, that summer, to like 2004 and 5, I just got juicy. I got juicy. Anyway, gross. Gross. Thanks for being gross, F rank. And Emma, you're filthy. You're filthy. And we love you here. We love it. Because you're like, I want that one. So what does that say about you, Emma? You're both savages. Lunatics. All in favor? Approved. Yeah. Rock on. Gross. Gross. But that was because of the .com bubble. This information wasn't online. It wasn't available. I didn't know. It was Y2K and it fucked me up. No, man, I was just, oh, geez. It was all macros, like getting enough protein and getting enough carbs, like whatever those numbers were. It was like eating this. I'm trying to, let's say I was hitting like 3,300 calories, whatever it was. I was just objectively eating it. But what I did appreciate, I'm not saying I didn't eat any shitty food, but when I look back on it, I mean, of course, those choices were not good ideas, in my opinion. But getting carbohydrates and getting in protein, I didn't do it. I wasn't eating like, oh, I'm just going to McDonald's and eating protein. I used to eat a Big Mac every fucking day. I did it with real bland shit. I did the classic chicken and rice, like the bland, fuck your seasonings. Like it was just get it in my face. There was like no seasonings. I didn't do any sauces really and stuff. There were some periods where I did after a while. You just like, you have to eat something. But my point, like I was doing it like the classic plain Jane. It was disgusting. So I still tend to overeat in the sense that that's why I really have found, when I came upon, really eating healthy and still training hard. So I'm utilizing the calories and the energy. And when you're focusing on quality food, I could just eat as much as I want. Like I can still gain weight, but I tend to complete. I tend to eat large quantities because I always have. It was always about completion. So I've learned to like slow down and enjoy and spread it out, but I still have like this trained, I don't say compulsion, but like, hey, if it's on the plate, finish the fucking plate. Like this gets in the mouth. And then now I have to realize sometimes like, oh, I don't have to finish the whole steak. I can leave a little bit for tomorrow. I don't have to stuff myself until I'm sick. It's just a habit. And it's not, it was done on purpose. But I recognize that now I have that default to, oh, this is on my plate. It needs to be consumed. Because that's the way I always did it. Eat this. I always had a quantitative goal of like, consume all of this. And it was always about getting bigger. So it was usually always more. I'd go through periods and I shred it down and cut. No, I really was always, hey, I'm eating all of this. Like completing the task. So, When I eat really nutrient dense food, I just get full and I realize, hey, I can always eat. If I get hungry later, I can eat more, but I'm full because I filled up with nutrients. I'm not eating empty void crap, and I'm not cyclically hungry because I'm just stuffing a lot of empty carbs and stuff like that, you know, inflammatory foods and shit. Like I'm just eating nutrient dense food and you just get full. You get full. Yeah, the problem is something like that. Bumble Hunter says, I grew up in a house. Let me bring this on the screen. That's a good topic. Because it's not just like you're trying to bulk and put on muscle. So, for example, if Bumble Hunter says, I grew up in a house that I had to finish what was on the plate, such a bad habit I'm still trying to break. Some families, they really finish everything on your plate. And then you kind of get this ingrained habit to complete everything, but you don't have those fundamental habits of like eating quality food. And then you just end up trying to eat too much of all sorts of nonsense, and yeah, that can go that can go the other direction real quick. One or two, a couple. We spent a lot of time on those questions. Samwise the Wise sounds redundant, but I appreciate the work here. What are some good workouts for the lower back? Jefferson curls, 45-degree hypers with a band or with dumbbells. Good mornings, RDLs, SLDLs. That's a great start. Lateral bending, windmills, lateral flexions. Even sissy squats and stuff, because the lower back is not just posterior, but it's also lengthening the hip flexors and the quads. And Jordan BT07, Papa Solio, any advice on how to reduce the fat in my lower abdominal area? Yeah, I recommend doing an elimination diet and starting to learn about how all these foods affect you and cause chronic inflammation and the pathway out of those bad habits. Thank you for the support, Squeegee. Appreciate you. Squeegee is now a monthly supporter. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. I am Lakshay7. Papa Solio, should we work on triceps more than that of biceps? That's an interesting question. Triceps, people usually say, are what, 2/3 of the arm? I don't know what the actual general mass, it really depends on the size of the muscles, of course, but what the general ratio is, I don't know. I'm sure there's probably a study somewhere like the average person has a tricep mass of X, Y, and Z. Some people are going to have different kind of lengths of the muscles, thickness, insertions, and subtle differences. That's why different people respond differently. You know, there's always subtleties with where the actual, what the length of the bones are, and literally the actual millimeter or nanometer length and width of the connective tissues and all that stuff. So it matters, the length of the muscle belly. Some people have really short muscle belly. Some people have long, thick, meaty, and shorter tendon insertions. So in terms of working on one more than others, I think it just comes down to your physique. You should train both. You're going to be training both if you're doing any sort of like elbow extension or elbow flexion, doing isolated exercises. What I would say is it depends on what you get from compound movements or what your training style is like, and then adjust your isolation dependent on that. So for example, if you are tricep dominant, then you should focus more of your attention on biceps. If you're bicep dominant, then you should focus more on triceps. So everyone's going to have stubborn body parts or areas that you need to bring up, but that's usually after bringing up certain body parts is usually shouldn't be a concern. You should be training everything intensely for years and years before you really worry about isolation. You know, you'll know when you have certain areas that are just developing faster than others. So cool. You can reduce the frequency or the volume on those and then focus more frequency or whatever on other body parts and prioritize them in your training. But a lot of people are trying to prioritize, well, I want to prioritize my chest and also my back and then my width of my shoulders, but also my quads and also my calves. Yeah, I get it. You want to build muscle everywhere. So get on a program that's going to build muscle everywhere. And then once you start building muscle, you'll see what areas you need to personally focus on more. I don't think everyone should do more triceps than biceps. That doesn't make sense. I actually do the opposite. I do more biceps than triceps. And my triceps have gotten stronger and they've gotten more developed and they're better than they were. And I train them less than I used to. I was talking about this the other day. I just get very fatigued in my triceps. So I've been trying something where I train them less. I do 1 set twice a week instead of 2 sets. depending on the movement, depending on my proximity to failure, any increase in volume, like I just get really sore and really fatigued, and then I might get elbow pain after a while. I just notice that they must get worked enough in other movements. So if I'm doing other pressing movements, I'm getting some triceps, even if I'm focusing on chest. So on yesterday's workout, I did incline Smith machine. So I only did 1 set for triceps, unilateral exercises. So I tried different things, and you have to start, and then you'll start to notice if certain areas are getting fatigued or you have like elbow pain. You want to catch these things before they become issues that inhibit your training. Because if you have any kind of imbalance, it's going to show up some point, maybe in like lateral or medial elbow pain, or your wrist hurts, or your shoulder bothers you. You want to catch these imbalances before you have issues, things that can be avoided. A lot of times when you get hurt in the gym, it's because of things you could have avoided. It's because of proper fatigue management or preparation or warming up, and getting your body temperature up, but also doing preparation sets. Maybe you went too heavy too quick. Whatever it is, like there's a lot of different things that can go wrong. So you want to control for those as much as possible. And for me, I think training intensely is important. And if you don't stress the joints, they're not going to get stronger. But as you get older, and when I say older, I'm going to be 42 this year. It's not just older. I've also have 23, 4, whatever years of intense training and doing all sorts of shit under my belt. So it's not like I'm a spring chicken. My muscles and tendons have never felt stress. Like there's all sorts of probably scar tissue and stuff from previous injuries or inflammation. My body is the way it is because of all the things I've done with it. And I've made a lot of progress. I've minimized my injury risk to the best of my ability. Could you do better? Hindsight's 2020. It doesn't matter. The way I train now is different than I used to. I don't do squats as much. I make sure that certain compound movements, I limit the frequency of them. I still do them. I think they're very important. But doing like super heavy hip hinges, I do them, but I might not do them as much as other isolation exercise, like leg extensions I'll throw in more, or certain other quad movements. I might not do heavy pendulum squats or heavy hack squats as frequently as I'll do maybe some single leg presses or some leg extensions or other things that are maybe more isolative and less like overall neurologically and just, with extreme loads. Because even if it's a smaller muscle, extreme loads, the higher the load, just the greater the risk. I referenced this a while ago when I was saying I have a standing calf raise machine that has pins that goes up to 500 pounds. Well, if I'm trying to do low reps for calves and do like 5 to 10 reps, I had like 900 pounds on there. I had 2 gym pins. I had 8 additional 45s, and I'm like getting the weight up and I'm doing these super heavy, but it's not just on my calves. It's on my shoulders, which means it's on my spine. It's on my back. It's on my neck. It's just that load on my back. It's much better for me, like physiologically, when I went to just single leg. It's just so much weight. Sometimes I'll do 500 or 600 pounds. I'll just do long holds, and maybe I'll do 15 to 20 reps instead because I just don't feel like going as heavy with the weight just because I don't want it on my neck. So it depends on the exercise. For that, rather than putting 900 pounds on my neck or 800 pounds, whatever it is, I could just do it single leg and drop it to like 350. So it's like, or 400. And then it's like the same stress on my calves. It's a little bit more focus on left to right leg, but it's half the weight on my neck. So certain exercises, you might feel in a mood, but doing it regularly are going to take more out of you. If you're doing hack squats, I could train legs twice a week, but I've noticed that if I try to do heavy compound like squats twice a week, I can't really train to my full capacity as hard just because of the fatigue and the load. And having 5, 6, 7 plates or doing leg press with 20 fucking plates, it's a lot less fatiguing putting on like 250, whatever the weight is on my leg extension, and doing 1 or 2 legs and doing 8 reps or 10 reps. That's a lot easier. 200 pounds moving the weight rather than putting like 400 on my back. It's just a lot less fatigue. So that matters. That matters. And you have to find out the different exercises that you are going to fatigue more from. And I'm not saying to avoid those fatiguing exercises. You want to train hard, but understand which ones are going to be more outsized fatigue so you can work them into your programming better. If I'm going to do, like I might do pendulum squat, I might do leg press, or I might do Smith machine today, but I'm going to factor that in and do less of other things because that's going to be very taxing. So I can go harder on that, and less accessories. I'm not going to do necessarily adductors and leg curls and this and 45-degree hypers and, stiff leg deadlifts and squats. I might just do heavy squats and Nordic curls. For today, it's raining. I might just do like 2 sets of Nordic curls, and then I'll come out, elevate my heels on the Smith machine and do more moderate, mid, like maybe 8 to 15 repetitions. I haven't done the Smith machine squat in a while. So adjust the weight, kind of like implement a new movement. It might be one of those days. Do something a little bit different. Where was I going with that? But in other words, adjust the fatigue. So when it comes down to, I know I went off on a little tangent there, but triceps more than biceps, it depends on the individual. And it depends on what the muscle can take and what it can recover from, and then what you individually need. But I will say that most people get over obsessed with information, and they procrastinate execution, and they don't have the patience to stay with something long enough to see if it works. Like, you have to give it weeks, even months, to see if it works. The way I've been doing things with like forearms or calves, like every other day, a certain way, every other day, one all-out set, you're not going to find out if it works in a week. You have to give it like several weeks. And how many people are giving 100% effort to test something for 2 or 3 months? Like, you have to really go all in to really know if it works. And how are you measuring it? How you feel? Are you physically measuring it? Are you taking pictures? Are you going by strength? Like, what are you actually measuring it in? So a lot of people go by how they feel, and it's like, well, that's not objective. How you feel doesn't really matter. That's why when you go to the gym and you see your strength going up, it's like, oh, I didn't feel like training today, but I'm recovering. Obviously, I'm able to progressively overload. So keep going. Sometimes you feel great and you just didn't get the weight up. You're like, all right, well, let's do it again the next time. You don't know until you keep doing it, and people get discouraged and up and down and this and that. And that's why you have to fall in love with doing the thing and actually executing and being successful and getting another rep in and getting another day and focusing on the 7 pillars and just doing the best you can every day with those, and you're going to make progress. You have to find the wins elsewhere, because quantitatively, you're not always going to get number wins or numerical or quantitative wins. It's just going to be the execution and just doing it again. And learning, and then adapting, and then tweaking. All right, let's go balls deep. Good stuff. If there's any other questions that come through, we can get into it.
That's deep.
Good topics today. I think we got into some good stuff. Let's get into some balls deep shiznit. It is, oh, by the way, it is Go the Fucking Gym month. So I'm taking it back. I'm taking June back for the Swole team, for the Swole fam, I should say. And it's GTTFG month. So go to the fucking gym, work those LGBTQs, work those lats, work those bis, work those tries. All right. Work the glutes, LG, bis, tries, quads, work them all. Get them done. Let's do this one. This one's called Fat Experience. Oh boy, let's have some fun. In the box? And if you're just joining, we're going to be posting this later on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll do the partial show because we got cut off when we were talking about F Rank's nasty tuna shake, but then we came back and then we covered it again, the knowledge cock portion. So we did go deep on it again. So I'm glad we got that in there.
But we need to be able to talk about fat-specific medical trauma and medical gaslighting without the conversation turning into, well, I'm thin and it's happened to me too. I see it every time myself or another fat creator creates a video talking about the fat experience in the medical system. For once, it would be amazing to keep the focus of the conversation on the fat experience without being interrupted. Acknowledging the specific harms fat people face doesn't erase anyone else's experience. It just makes space for ours in a society that so often tries to ignore us and erase us. I want to be very clear, I am not saying that thin people don't experience harm in the medical system. Of course they do. I know they do. Like, medical gaslighting certainly doesn't only happen to fat people. And when medical gaslighting happens, regardless of who it's happening to, it is emotionally and mentally devastating. But fat people are systematically dismissed because of their size. We are not outliers, we are the rule.
Systematically. Really held that S systematically. Systematically. What is the symbolism? Okay, what movie is that from? Swole Sama knows that movie. Symbolism. What's the symbolism? All right. Let's see. Holy crap. Okay. Fad diets don't work.
What's in the box?
And the video is over. It's already called Fad Diets Don't Work. We know that, yes. And correct, T-Bone Capone, Boondock Saints, very good.
A lot of comments recently on a video telling me that it's not that diets don't work. They're telling me that it's fad diets that don't work, whilst defending their diet. Or it's
Everyone
because
has
we
a diet.
stopped dieting. I thought it would be really helpful for me to just share the 3 big red flags of diets. The first red flag is a goal that is based on the manipulation or control of your body size. The second red flag is prioritize.
I agree with that. Fine. I mean, we should be talking about this is fundamentally healthy for you. And then body size isn't a problem. That's my point with the 7 pillars of the elimination diet. Second one is retarded.
External factors rather than listening to internal cues. And number 3 is moralizing food choices. And yes, there might be other red flags that you also think of. If you think about every diet...
Moralizing food choices. Well, there are foods that should not be consumed. Again, what you do not put in your holes. There are certain things that do not go in your holes. Don't put them in your holes. It's really not complicated. There's a do not put in your holes food list. And people need to really stop putting things like, oh my God, look at these Doritos. They need to go inside. I want to put them inside my body. What hole can I stuff them in? Oh, I'll put them in this hole. Oh, look at this zucchini. I'm a fucking zook. Where hole can this go in? Well, I'll put it in my butthole. Yeah, just get it in my holes. All right, let's do this one. This one's called Gender Norms. Happy Go the Fucking Gym Month.
What's in the box?
Let's see what this toolbox has to say.
Happy Pride Month. You know that within the neurodivergent population, it is much more common to be some form of queer than it is within the general population. As a matter of fact, even among cisgendered folks, it is much more common to be unanchored to gender norms than it is among the general population. We don't tend to socialize among our peers the same ways that most folks do. And this means that we don't feel that same kinship with our assigned gender in the same ways. It means that we can step out of these social norms. We can step out of those roles. We can feel more like ourselves. And
what is the website? Is it on spacex.com? Space. Isn't there a raffle that you can submit to go to Mars? Isn't Elon Musk doing a Mars raffle? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can sign up quick. Human space flight. Let's click on that link. All right, let's bring this up. Let's go here. Human space flight, making life multiplanetary. Where do you sign up to go to Mars? Our missions. Okay, Mars. Join a mission. Holy shit. Join a mission. All right, hold on a second. Our missions. Okay. Join a mission. All right, we're going to Mars. Fuck this shit. We're out. All right. Let's see what we got here. SpaceX was founded to help create a future where not just hundreds, but thousands and ultimately millions of people can travel from Earth to live and work in space and on other planets. If you're interested in flying on a future mission, please fill in the form below. All fields are required. Space is open. Come explore. Let's see here. Please share details. All right. Please share details about any specific mission objectives you may have. I want to get away from all these faggots. Okay. Destination, Mars. Mission year. As soon as, what year is this? 2025. Let's be on. No, I want out. All right, I'm good. Are you open to being financially qualified by SpaceX? I will suck any amount of dick. I will get at, yeah. All right. Yes. Confirm I'm age 18 or older. Let's see. USA, country of passport, USA. Get me the, hold on a second. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Get me the fuck away from these people. Echo here? Oh, it's too long. Okay. Get me out of here at gmail.com. Okay. Get me out. Let's see. Papa Swole. Okay. All right. Looking good. Okay, cool. All right.
Maybe this is the reason why trans ourselves, and maybe this is the reason why trans and non-binary people are about 600 times more likely to be autistic than a cis-het person. I hope that June is good for the queer folks out there, and I hope that the rest of the months are too. We obviously have a lot more fight ahead of us than we've had in the last few years, and you know, just want you to know that the neurodivergents, even those of us who aren't the queer ones, are right here with you.
I don't believe you people.
Huh? What do you mean, you people?
I don't know what just happened. All I know is I still want to go to Mars. I'm convinced. Okay, so I'll have to submit that. Fam, got a couple announcements. If you missed the beginning of the podcast, this one on replay, cut in about 10, 15 minutes through. Just missed the beginning because we had to reset. But brand new merch over at papaswolio.com. Lats, 20% off everything. What a great new design. It got renamed to Jaws after some public outcry. They're like, this is ridiculous. No one goes to, what is the gym? Who goes to the fucking gym? You know, this is just really early on in fitness. So it got renamed to Jaws, and of course was a huge success. Same thing with Forrest Pump being changed to Forrest Gump, and Jurassic Pump being, you know, it turned into Jurassic Park. It's frustrating, but a lot of these are great characters are coming back, and I'm unfolding really the criminal, just the absolute like kleptocratic Hollywood elites that have just destroyed the industry because these greats never came to their full potential. So get the original Lats design. I want reparations. I want reparations. Great summer merch. Great summer merch. Check it out now. And of course, this Thursday, we have our Rise and Swole event. So tomorrow we'll have an episode, and then Thursday will be private. Thursday morning, June 5th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Zoom link will be on your homepage in your app. If you're a member, join us over at swolenormousx.com this Thursday, 9:30, day after tomorrow, in place of episode 3317. So don't miss out on that. Now let's give away today's Swole card. Calm down, Tainty Man. It's GT TFG. Send it, Falcon. Pick me a winner. Thanks for being here, Beaches. Appreciate you guys sticking through the technical mishaps. We got a winner. Today's winner is, I don't even know how you pronounce this. Right on it, Sieber. Brrr, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Sieber. Congratulations. Send us an email to support@swolenormous.com. Swole card 3315 in the subject, your mailing address in the body of the email. Congratulations. And congratulations to all you sexy beaches that have been going to the fucking gym. If you're going, this one's for you also. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow for 3316, and we'll get this, I guess, 80% episode uploaded so you can catch it later. Really good questions. good conversation, had a good time, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace, McGee's, deuce, magoose, ya boy, Papa Swole. Out.
Need a straight jacket, cash flow, I'm a bank addict. 6 subs, had the bass smacking. 808s, had the place clapping. 3 girls is enough for me, so I pull out like the stock's crashing. Like an IPO, trying to purchase me. This a private sector, so you can't have it. Faking all that boom bapping. Who you think you is, boy? 90s want they sound back, so I give rap all these fake rappers as I take matters in my own hands. I don't need rapping, I don't need Zans. I don't need help, I'm a grown man. Now they king left and they so mad, it's like
yeah, I found that. Young king with my crown at. 10 racks in the fanny pack. Couple hundred in the Louis bag.
that's a bed that you made. That's a bed that you made. That's a bed that you made. That's a bed that you laid. What kind of game is you playing? We go hard in the paint, yeah. What the fuck is you saying? I only go where they pay. What kind of game is you playing? Ay, yeah. Whoa, my shit is relevant. Our topic, my melanin is popping.